September 1944. The Allies are winning. Paris is free. The Germans are retreating. But one bold plan could finish the war before Christmas. Its goal: seize a corridor of bridges across the Netherlands, pierce the German lines, and strike straight into the Ruhr, Hitler's industrial heart. Its name, Operation Market Garden. It would become one of the most ambitious airborne assaults in history, and one of the most tragic. The architect of the plan was Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery. He believed a single, decisive strike could end the war by the end of 1944. The operation had two parts: Market, an airborne assault by over 35,000 paratroopers; Garden, a ground offensive by the British XXX Corps. 3 airborne divisions, the U.S. 101st, U.S. 82nd, and British 1st Airborne, would drop deep behind enemy lines to capture key bridges at Eindhoven, Nijmegen, and Arnhem. XXX Corps would then race up a narrow 64-mile road to reinforce them. If it worked, the Allies would outflank the Siegfried Line and open a direct route into Germany. On the morning of September 17, 1944, the sky over England filled with aircraft. More than 1,500 C-47s and 500 gliders lifted off carrying paratroopers, jeeps, and light artillery. It was the largest airborne operation ever attempted. The landings began smoothly. The 101st Airborne captured several bridges near Eindhoven. The 82nd Airborne, under Brigadier General James Gavin, secured the crucial bridge at Grave and the high ground at Grosbeek. But in Arnhem, at the farthest end of the corridor, things went wrong almost immediately. Intelligence had underestimated German strength. Unknown to Allied planners, 2 SS Panzer divisions, the 9th and 10th SS Hohenstaufen and Frundsberg, were refitting near Arnhem. The British 1st Airborne Division, led by Major General Roy Urquhart, landed miles from the bridge and quickly met fierce resistance. Radio sets failed. Units were scattered. Still, a small force under Lieutenant Colonel John Frost fought its way into Arnhem and seized the northern end of the bridge. For 4 days, Frost's men held out, surrounded, outgunned, and cut off from the rest of the division. Meanwhile, XXX Corps, commanded by Lieutenant General Brian Horrocks, began its advance from Belgium. The single highway, soon nicknamed Hell's Highway, was their only route. German counterattacks cut the road repeatedly. Tanks bogged down in mud, supply trucks burned. Every village along the route became a battlefield. Progress was painfully slow. By the time XXX Corps reached Nijmegen, the 82nd Airborne had fought a brutal river assault across the wall under heavy fire. They captured the bridge, but it was already too late for Arnhem. At Arnhem, Frost's paratroopers were isolated on the north bank of the Rhine. German armor encircled the city. Artillery shattered the surrounding houses. Running out of ammunition and medical supplies, the paratroopers held for 4 days before being overwhelmed. Only a handful escaped across the river. Of the 10,000 men of the British 1st Airborne, only about 2,000 returned. Radio contact was lost. Montgomery's plan was collapsing. By September 25th, Allied command ordered Operation Berlin, the evacuation of the survivors across the Rhine. Under cover of night and rain, Canadian engineers ferried the exhausted troops back in small boats. Market Garden was over. The Allies had captured some ground but failed to take the final bridge. The Rhine, the gateway to Germany, remained in enemy hands. The cost was staggering: over 17,000 Allied casualties, hundreds of aircraft lost, entire towns in the Netherlands destroyed. For the Dutch, the failure was devastating. Expecting liberation, civilians had risen in support, only to face a brutal winter of starvation as German retribution followed. For Germany, it was a brief but vital reprieve. The war would drag on another 8 months. Historians still debate why Market Garden failed. Key reasons include over-optimism. Montgomery believed the Germans were near collapse. Poor intelligence. The SS divisions near Arnhem were missed. Single road supply line, one blocked bridge stalled the entire advance. Weather and communication failures. In the words of one officer, "We were asked to make a lightning strike on a rainy day." Despite defeat, the bravery of the airborne soldiers became legend. At Arnhem, Frost's stand inspired the world. The Dutch still honor the men of the 1st Airborne every year at Oosterbeek Cemetery. Even Montgomery later admitted, "It was a bridge too far." Those words would become the title of Cornelius Ryan's famous book, and a symbol of both ambition and sacrifice. Operation Market Garden was a masterpiece of planning and a tragedy of execution. It showed the limits of airborne warfare and the price of overconfidence. But it also revealed something deeper, the determination of ordinary soldiers to fight against impossible odds. In failure, they found immortality, and the bridges of Arnhem, Nijmegen, and Eindhoven still stand, silent memorials to courage, hope, and the cost of dreaming too big.